Hello everyone, and welcome back to the final video of my Age to Civ tier rest. Sorry for being so wrong about finishing the last video, guys. Mostly it's just because I've been lazy, but also there's some cool stuff happening in Age of Empires 4. A few tournaments coming up, the Wii Classic, Matisse's tournament with Energy, as well as possible Red Bull. So a lot of good stuff, but also stuff that makes me want to practice more, which unfortunately means less content. But anyway, let's let's do the imp tier list here. Long overdue. Alright, let's start with China. China is obviously one of the best civs in imp. It has, man, I have to think of these on the spot, but I'm thinking A or S here. I guess we can start with S. I can see that there's a lot of civs here that are probably going to be S tier, but I think Imperial Age is actually one of the most unbalanced ages, so maybe that's like how it should be. Like China's S because they have some of the best food in the game. They have some of the best units in the game, that being the hand cannon, the Nesta B, house guards. And yeah, there's just a lot of things that China has that makes them extremely good in the late game. If you think about the tax, is a passive gold income source, uh, passive income source, right, for gold, and obviously gold in the late game, very valuable. Another thing is you probably don't think about this a lot, but China saves a lot of gold throughout the game because of supervise. So whereas most civs, they might run out of gold at 30 minutes, just random number. China would probably be a bit later on that, 40 minutes, 35 at least. Just because, well, unlike HRE, they're not exhausting a resource faster. They're just getting more of the thin air with the supervise. So that's actually a big plus that you don't really realize too much with China. And all these things add up to China being one of the best civs in the late game. We're starting off with some really good late game civs. All right, so Abbasid. Um, so Abbasid, I think, has to be in A tier just because I can think of a few civs off the top of my head that are better than Abbasid, actually. But don't get me wrong, Abbasid is definitely one of the best right game civs. Top five for sure. Well, yeah, I would say top five off of my head, maybe sixth or seventh, but I think top five. Um, this is just again because farm eco is so strong. Farm eco is huge in the right game. They have the House of Wisdom buff as well as the extra House of Wisdom tech that increases farm gather rate. So farm gather rate plus they have Culvins, obviously a good late game siege unit, saves a lot of pop. They have just a lot of attacks, right? Like they don't have anything insane, I think. Like nothing like Chinese hand cannons or Nest Bees. Well, but there's a lot of techs and Hills of Wisdom that like, over time they just add up to having a really strong right game. That is the infantry one, camo support, um, as mentioned, the food one. So just all the techs kind of make Abbasid a really strong 7-8 game. And if you even choose to, you can go for the Imp Plus, also Wisdom Tree, and go for, well, depending on what you age up with, the better trade one maybe. Anyway, yeah, Abbasid's techs make them extremely good right game civ, plus the siege, plus the food. So that's pretty much essentially it. Now English, I think I have to put them in S tier. Like, there's just too many things that they have at the moment. Yeah, let's put English in S tier. Not at the moment, they've always had, but English, like they've always been extremely good right game civ, and this is because obviously of their enclosures, which actually did get nerfed like a year back, but they're still extremely strong. Having passive gold income just means, first of all, it means you're getting gold for free, right? Second of all, you're saving pop. Um, Whereas other civs would need to, go trade those or have relics. English just kind of just gets this out of thin air. So like these bonuses are just super 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 OP. As well as they have some of the best units in the late game with Chad men at arms as well as longbowmen. Just amazing units. So of course, network of castles and stuff like that. And again, amazing farms. So just really good. Probably just those stuff that I mentioned just makes them S. But yeah. All right, French. Let's put them in A tier. And arguably, you could have probably put them in S tier when keeps, especially with the French Red Palace emplacement, um, could kill bombards. But I think that got tuned down a bit, and French probably even just from that change moved from S to A. Um, so obviously, Red Palace is insane. They have decent trade in the late game as well, and they get cheaper units. Those are probably the main things that makes French really good in the late game. Other than that, oh, Guildhall, really good crossman as well. I mean, a lot of the civs are very, very good in the late game, so, French and A tier, maybe arguably you could put them as, but I think A tier is a safe pick, and they do have, like I mentioned, the previous things, very, very good stuff. Not much more to comment on. I think China and English buffs are just slightly better. And another good 7-away game, H3, and I think H3 is probably just behind French and Abbasid here. Again, it really depends on how many rocks you have. If you have 4 to 5 rocks, maybe they're S tier, but you know, most H3 games are not going to be able to obtain that many relics. So I think 3 relics H3 at A tier is a safe pick. Um, you often think about H3 and you think, okay, they have really good men arms. Yeah, they do, but that's kind of it, right? Like they have men arms, they have Lance Connects, they have Culverins too, but compared to a lot of these other civs like English, China, French, they have better units generally. Um, English have good men arms as well as the longbowmen, and French have uh, Aubriature, whatever, crossbow, and the H3 just doesn't have like the best units in the right game. Obviously, they have the relics and stuff, and they have really good defenses, but I think that puts them in the A tier, not in S tier. So Mongols, this is an interesting one because Mongols historically has struggled a lot in the right game. Um, because Mongols is really good in the early game and the mid game. But once you hit the right game as Mongols, you really don't have the static E that other civs do, like stone walls and such and keeps. And you struggle to really gain and control the map for an extended period of time. However, the recent change with the tower upgrade from August did make them a little bit better on the right game. Again, though, I think they are a bit like H3, and I mentioned this, I think, in the last video as well. It really depends on if you're trading. It really depends on how well the previous stage of the game went. Whereas for English, China, French, they're kind of always going to be good in the way game as well as Abbasids. H3 and Mogus is more of a dependency on earlier stages of the game. So Mogus is a B tier, and like if you have like 50 traders and just booming, like okay, maybe you could put them A or S, but yeah, you know, you need to have that insane stone generation to be able to get bombard towers, to be able to control the map, and even protect your trade at that point. So B tier for Mogus. Now Rus. I do think Rus is honestly S tier. You could maybe put them at the top A, but well, maybe they are S tier, yeah. It's just Streltsy is so good. Like Streltsy It's just insane units if you think about it. They're 60 res cheaper, not to mention 30 gold. Obviously the important part, but they are like Cancanias that are better because of the stand ground kind of thing. I forget what it's called, but they're cheaper and better. So having one of the best rate game units in the game, obviously they're going to be extremely high, but there's just so many other things to this as well, right? Passive gold generation with the carbons. So passive gold generation with cabins, faster wood gathering with the tower, and even faster food gathering with the buff, right? I think that doesn't justify the hunt. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it applies to all food. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it should apply to all the food. Anyway, buffing all the resources essentially, and having really good units, as well as siege with the higher armory, makes the Rus S tier. So Delhi, I have to put them in D, just because Delhi can be extremely good in the late game if you have 0 plus elephants. But that is like so insane to get to that you pretty much have to be winning the game already, or just like playing way, way better than your opponent to even get to that stage. So realistically, I can't put them higher than D. Just because immediately after Imp, or when you get Imp, it just takes them so long to even catch up to other civs, unless you have like 25 skulls. Um, Making them not so good. Like maybe you could argue put them C, but I think for the purpose of my video, I'm gonna put them D, and because they're not so great. So Maui, this is an interesting one actually, because the more I played Maui, the more I think they're actually not that bad right game. They do have a lot of passive income with cows, with pit mines, with even the Manticore, right? But their units do kind of suck. Yeah. I think even, they're not super bad. I think I can't put them higher than the C. Just because, all these other civs have quite good rate games. I would preferably play any other civ over Malians just because there's no unit in the rate game that I really want to be massing. Moose body okay. The archers, the archers with Malians kind of hit their stride in Castle Age. They get the poison arrows. They don't get incendiary arrows in Imp Age. So, their peak is really in Castle Age for Malians. So, can't put them high in the C, I think, just because their units are not that strong. But they do have some nice eco bonuses, like I mentioned earlier. Alright, and Ottomans, in my opinion, Ottomans is the best civ in Imperial Age. The more and more I play Ottomans in the Imp Age, I just find them insanely oppressive with the Great Bombard. If you have the Siege health upgrade, it takes Springald's 7 shots to kill a Great Bombard. Think about that. That's Springald's a 3 pop, so 21 pop to kill a 4 pop unit. 1 shot. A Great Bombard 1 shots a Springald. 1 shots. Obviously, there's a range different, but Bombards have use for other things as well, right? It's just insane to fight that kind of army, especially with the Janissaries in the background. Like, it's really fucking difficult to trade well versus Ottomans. Not to mention, they're just getting free units. They're getting free units, they're getting free Great Bombards, and they have the attack speed. Or I just can't kill this, or, even versus me, people can't kill this kind of army. It's I honestly think it needs a nerf. Specifically the Bombard, like, Jeanne's are good too, but if you're ever playing Ottomans in the late game, really try to focus on getting as many Bombards as possible, and then obviously Jeanne's from your military schools, but Bombards, in my opinion, are like the main focus, just because it is so fucking difficult to kill them. Preferably get the what's it called? The University Imp upgrade. Sorry, the Imp University Imp Ranmark. I forget what it's called. Sorry, and get the Siege upgrade immediately. That increases their health because it's very very good on the bombard. So yeah, I mean, just the military schools, the Mehmed Imperial Armory, the Great Bombard, the Janissary, and the Meta alone make Ottomans the best in the game for me. So yeah, right, Ayyubid. So the more I play Ayyubid in the late game, the more I find that they're just kind of on the weaker side. Like they don't have a lot of things that Abbasid has, and this kind of makes sense because Ayyubid is like the tempo Abbasid civ, whereas Abbasid is like the boomy. I mean, just the boom civ. um, boom rate game civ, whereas Ayyubid's kind of like has a really good early game, has a really good mid game, and then, in my opinion, doesn't like completely fall off, but they're definitely not as strong as Abbasid in the late game. So I'm going to put them in C around Malians. Uh, they do have the House of Wisdom stuff. I think it's 10%. Maybe it gets a little bit higher. I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that. But they have some nice buffs like the Etten Shea bags, whatever you want to call them. That's nice, but I mean, other than that, I mean, you really have to choose what you have in the late game, right? You have that, you have the 10% on villages with the eco one, and you have some other upgrades. I'm not exactly sure which ones, but it's just not that strong, I find. And they're like imp plus wisdom. It improves like camo damage and health or whatever. Well, not exactly sure because I just don't do it that much because every single time I did try it, it just was not that good. So I don't know. Maybe some of you guys play Outbid right game and you think they're really good, you know. But myself personally, I do not like Outbid's right game. So C for me. All right, Byzantine. This is a tough one. Some people think Byzantine's the right game are like insanely OP, and they're quite good. I will give you that, but I don't think they're like the best civ in the game. And honestly, I would put them at fifth, maybe even behind Abbasid. But I mean, they were well, maybe not behind Abbasid. Maybe they're fifth. Obviously, the shield wall is insanely broken, but and they do have really good eco with the cisterns. They do have the olive oil that pretty much replaces gold, but other than that, they don't have much, right? They have Streltsy, yeah, but they can't just make Streltsy. And if you choose to go Streltsy, then you don't have good siege because you can't go the other landmark that gives you good siege. So it's kind of a one or the other. I mean, I guess you could go Streltsy and you could go that one, but you would be extremely limited on olive oil. So yeah. Anyway, my point is that you kind of have to pick and choose what you have with Byzantine a little bit. Whereas with Rus, you have good siege and you have good Streltsy and you have good eco. So maybe you guys disagree, and you're allowed to disagree. But I put Byzantine as fifth just because you have to pick and choose a little bit, and they can be extremely good in the late game like any other civ, but you have to be in quite the position to do so. And I just don't find myself in that position very often with Byzantines. All right, Japan. Actually, jeez, man. So these, I am ranking Abbasid, like I said, a little bit lower than I thought because there was the new civs. I'm making this civ tier that's very difficult. Because now we have to deal with Japan, which are, in my mind, one of the best civs in the white game. They struggle a bit, like in my TRS, you could see that they struggle a bit in almost every single age. But once you hit Imp and you have an insane Pharma eco around your TC, you obviously have insane static D, you have insane units with the Bannermen, and just really good units in general, good upgrades. It's incredibly difficult to kill Japan. You have obviously really good, depending on what you put your shields in, you have good gold generation, essentially relics. And honestly, in general, Japan really doesn't need that much gold, if you think about it. Um, their best units don't cost that much gold, and they do get passive gold income from mining stone, as well as the stone from mining gold, so I think they save a little bit over the course of the game. I know you have to spend, obviously, on the TC and such, but I think you do save a little bit on the course of the game. And as well as that combined with the fact that you're generally not spending that much because you're spending on infantry, which don't cost that much gold. Anyway, I just find when I play Japan, I scale extremely well into the late game, and having, I think, maybe one of the best food ecos in the game. I think so. I think they might have the best food eco in the game. Is so overwhelming when you have such good infantry that it's very, very, very difficult to kill them. I mean, not too much to talk about here. Japan just, has those three things: good food, some nice passive generation, and very, very good units and good static D. So that's pretty much it. All right, so Jeanne. I mean, it's pretty close. Like, I mean, they're definitely better than French, but I don't think they're so much better. Like, obviously, Jeanne is very, very, very nice to have in the late game. One pop unit that is giga strong, right? So you're just saving a lot of pop space with such a OP unit. But that's pretty much it. I mean, consistently throughout my tiers, I've pretty much put Jeanne above French consistently just because they have Jeanne, and French just doesn't have that much more than Jeanne. Especially in the late game, the villager production just doesn't matter at all. And yes, you have the keeps, but Jeanne has consecration. So yeah. I do, honestly, in my opinion, I still think Jeanne is just a better French. So maybe they'll tweak some stuff or something. I don't know. Just distinct the civs a little bit more, but that's my opinion. You know. Right, Order the Dragon. So I do think Order the Dragon is definitely worse than nature in the late game. Again, it's just more difficult to play Order the Dragon because you have less units. Obviously they're stronger, but you have less units, which means it's harder to fight in multiple places at once because you really have to be careful when splitting off your army. That's not why I'm putting them in C tier. I'm putting them in C tier because yes, they have better villages, but I mean that's pretty much it. Like they have better villagers, they have the relics. They have the same stuff as Achuri, really, but I find Achuri. Okay, maybe that is why I'm putting them in C tier. I find their units are just not good enough. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you could put them in B tier. Maybe B tier is a little bit more fair to them. B tier is probably more fair to them. I think my Order Dragon hate has put them in C tier, but I think B tier is fair. I just think their units are a bit weak, considering, they cost 2 pop. Yeah. Alright, Zhu Xi, and Jesus Christ, man. My S tier is filling up. Um, hmm. Maybe they deserve an A tier. Zhu Xi. I think I'm gonna put them in A tier. Obviously, they have the same stuff as China regarding income. Well, maybe they are S tier. Because I'm thinking they have so many good upgrades in the late game that maybe they are S tier. I mean, sort of Abbasid though, right? It's the units that Zhu Xi has that makes them maybe A tier kind of thing, I'm thinking. They do have 1,000 bolts, which makes the crossmen a little bit better. They do have grenadiers, but grenadiers aren't really as good as hand cannons, really. Like, they're too easy to snipe, and they don't have good enough range. It's really what distinguishes Zhu Xi and China. The hand cannons from China are so broken, and Zhu Xi really doesn't have anything close to that. Like, yeah. They have some good upgrades from their landmark and the imp, but and they do have some good imperial officials, but I think just the units make them A tier. Like their economy is the same pretty much, but they just don't have as good units as China in late game. Like they don't have the better siege. They don't have Hankineers. I think you could arguably put them S tier, but I'm gonna keep them in the A tier just because of those things I mentioned. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and yeah, that's my Civ to Age tier list. So hopefully you enjoyed the entire series, in fact, and I might be a little bit slower on uploading YouTube videos just because of the up and coming tournaments I mentioned at the start of the video, but I am still going to be around, guys, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take care.